Okay.
Well, hello and welcome to the podcast from Stress to Success Blueprint. I'm your host, Lolita Gorin. And today I have an amazing guest, and I'm already got some great reviews about getting other people on my podcast instead of me talking every single day. I bet you already got sick and tired of listening. So today I'm very happy and very thrilled to have Sherri Echols to she's a powerhouse real estate broker, and she's from Bryan-College Station, Texas, joining us. But we all around the world now connected with internet. So if you have any questions and if you don't live in that area, that's fine. You still can ask her. She's very knowledgeable all across US. So, and Sherry is not only the top producing agent, but she's also a very, very dedicated advocate for veterans, and she's guiding them through housing and benefits and work, and also, which I think is very important, is through stress and mental health resources as well. And she's a mother of two grown daughters, and as someone that has navigated her life challenges and resilience, and Sherry brings a very deep commitment to continuous growth and empowering others, because she believes in her approach is that to real estate and life is all about the genuine care, community, and compassion. And I'm very happy also that she's helping a lot of veterans, because as you know, life can get very tough, especially when someone is going through so much of change in their life. So also, Sherry has her own podcast. Well, I will be asking her about that at the end of our conversation. So welcome, Sherry, to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So before we click to record, we were chatting about how busy real estate is, and Sherry was sharing how how many things she needs to do, and all of that. So is it this like a always, we at the end of a year, in how is the real estate agent always busy at the end of a year, or were you always busy? How is that?
Well, a lot of people's business kind of goes up and down because we focus on, marketing and then getting the clients, and then we get busy with them. And then we have a little lull, or rates will go up, and then we have a lull, or, sometimes once the school year starts again, the business automatically slows down a little bit. That doesn't mean it stops, but it does slow down. So you have to stay consistent with your marketing and stay consistent with keeping in touch with people to keep your business kind of level out throughout the year. Um, we've had a really weird year this year because interest rates have been high, inflation's been high, and we've had an election going on. The election now is over, so hopefully that dust will settle and things will start improving in the other regards as well. I've heard rumors about a couple of price drops, but nobody's crystal ball is perfect. So we'll see rate drops when we see them happen. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty busy here right now. I'm slammed. I can't don't have hardly a minute to get anything done besides just take care of my clients right now. So
When I hear especially real estate agents, eh, it's just so unpredictable, as you said. And I'm thinking, there's no way I could be a real estate agent. It's just so up and down. And talking from a stress point of view, that would be super stressful. So, how is that you keep yourself sane in all that craziness?
I just read a book called Smart But Scattered, and it talked about these different characteristics that people with kind of ADD tendencies have. And one of them is kind of thriving under stress a little bit. So I think I'm one of those kind of people that up to a certain point, I thrive under stress. Sometimes I do feel overwhelmed. And, when I'm getting like way overwhelmed, then I have to kind of step back and look at what am I trying to get done? What is the priority? Pick out one or two things that I really need to get accomplished before I move on to the next thing, like what makes sense in the order. Like I've been working on some funnels, right? So my part of that is getting some scripts done and getting some videos recorded. And then I send those off to my editor. And then I have another assistant who's writing some like follow-up emails for me for the funnel. And then we're going to reconvene and then get the funnels put together. So it's delegating some of the work to someone else and just picking a priority and kind of setting some time aside to just get it done, just stay focused for, an afternoon or 2 hours even. You can get so much done if you're just turn off the interruptions and just really focus on it. I think a lot of times I put things off because I think it's going to take way longer than it does. And when I get really serious about it, it really doesn't take that long to get those things done. But I think self-care is super important too. And I, there's a book called The Miracle Morning, and I like that in lots of reasons. It's things in the morning that are you're really doing a lot of self-care. You're reading, you're spending time in meditation and silence and prayer, whichever you prefer to do. You're reading and developing your mind, and you're doing a little exercise. I think all those things are important, and I like doing them at the beginning of the day so the day doesn't get ahead of me. And then I talk myself out of doing all that self-care, and I'm just frazzled on taking care of everyone else. It's kind of hard because I don't always get up super early, but when I do, I like to do those kinds of things to get my day started right. So, you try really hard for balance, and it's not always possible, but it's a moving target.
You mentioned about delegating. There was when I was researching for my first book about stress management, it's called Crush Stress While You Work. That was probably 7 or 8 years ago now. Time flies by. I was interviewing about 200 people, and not people just, well, they were entrepreneurs successful with their businesses. And some of them were solopreneurs, some of them are companies that have about 150 or, definitely 100 employees. And those people who were very successful and less stressed out, those were who told me that the stress really got to the manageable level when they started delegating to other people. And so, when I hear it from you, I know that that's how it's important. But were you always good with delegating? Because there's so many people like, oh my gosh, I don't want to let this control go.
It's definitely something to get used to, but I've kind of go by the motto of good enough to move on. Get Mo. That's something from a coaching group that I'm in. No one's going to do it just like you do, but they may even have better ideas than I do. I'm not that technologically ex. I'm not that big of a technical expert, especially on editing videos and things like that. And the people that I hire are creative and they're energetic. They're a lot younger than me, and so they're really good at the tech stuff and editing, and they bring more to the table. I'm real careful about who I hire, so I feel better about delegating to them because I know they're going to take good care of me. And I think it's, you have to, starting out, you may not have the money to, hire someone on, but as soon as you can, hire someone to take care of the things that take you the longest to do, that you hate to do the most, because your time is valuable, right? You can make more money doing what you do to bring in cash than it's it's a bigger expense if you do that time consuming stuff, right? So just let go with a few dollars, hire the person to help you, and then you're going to increase your income by a bunch by freeing up that time.
And I get a lot of when I have someone coming to me and they say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so burnt out. I have so much running of everything, the family, the business," and I tell them, you need to take a break, and they immediately say, "Oh my gosh, I don't have time for all of this because I'm doing all of that." What do you think about time management? Are you good with that?
I try to be, and I try to work with like the 12-week year. So I have just maybe three or four projects that I'm working on at any time. But sometimes it gets ahead of me. Since I'm an entrepreneur and I can pick which 100 hours a week I want to work, I can choose to take a day off. And just this afternoon, I was thinking, I had plans this weekend of getting a whole bunch of stuff done, and then I got interrupted by clients and what their needs are, and that's my business. Money making things take precedence over everything, right? So I'm thinking Tuesday, I have nothing scheduled. I may take Tuesday off this time and just, go get a pedicure, go to manicure, do my laundry, just take care of the things I need to do and do a little self-care there. So just picking a random kind of day off. Another thing to do is like at the beginning of the year, plan in your vacations and your holidays, plan in your personal time. And if you're really good at this kind of planning stuff, you can plan each week and plan in, these are the hours I'm for sure going to sleep. These are the hours I'm going to read or do whatever my hobby or whatever, my growth, my exercise, figure out which hours of the day you're going to be spending on just yourself. So you're not going to allow anyone else to interrupt that, right? So you turn off your phone, you let your assistant or whoever know, don't knock on my door till whatever time. I'm taking care of me and these things right now. It's hard to be disciplined like that, but you really are when you're refreshed and you take that time to care for yourself, you really are so much more productive. It seems like it's interrupting the workflow, but you really need that kind of break to, be fresh and handle like how do I say, if you get to the end of the day, you're just kind of spinning your wheels, just go to bed, right? Start again fresh in the morning. You have to take care of yourself.
I love that. Those are great tips. And when you, did you learn that from your family when you were growing up? What was the culture to stress manage your when you were in childhood?
Well, my dad was an no, I'm sorry, industrial engineering professor. He's retired now, but he was always very busy, building his career, and he was very well respected in his career. So he worked a lot of long hours, and my mom was there mostly at the house with us. She went back to school or went to school when I was 8 years old, and my brother was in kindergarten. So during that time, I had to get him up and ready for school when she had early class. So I would get him dressed and give him breakfast and walk him to school with me. Um, I don't know. I don't really like we would have family things periodically. We'd go to the woods and walk around. Blended Woods was a place we went to. We usually went apple picking one day a year, and that's like a treasured memory of mine. It was such a great day to go apple picking with the family and bring back all those bushels of apples, and the garage smelled so good. um, but yeah, I don't know that we really had a good example of intentional time management and self-care. You know what I mean? I don't think it was quite a thing when I was a kid. It just was work hard, earn your, you know, stay on your career. And back then people stayed in one job the whole career. My dad was an industrial engineer the whole time, right? Until he retired. So different psychologies, I think. So that's a long way around to saying, we really didn't talk about that. It was just I had my responsibilities because I was the oldest kid, so I had to do all these chores, and my free time I spent reading until they threw me outside to play, right?
Well, thank you for sharing that. And how did you, we were talking about, that used to be you start with one career, kind of stay in that. Um, so how did you become a real estate agent, and how long you been doing this?
Yeah. Um, well, there was a time in life where back when I was married, we bought some rental properties, and I would spend 3 months of my time renovating the houses and then getting them rented and managing myself. And just kind of from that, I started getting interested in the real estate field, and I had quit my job at the universities, which was same thing every day, just terrible. I didn't want to go back to that, sitting at a desk and doing the same thing every day. So I got my license and I started being an agent in March of 2010. So I've been at it for a while, almost 15 years and well, 14 and a half. So it's been a while. Um, I love it. It's something different all the time. I've gotten to a point now where I can have a no a-hole policy. So if there's a client who's going to be like super hard or not respectful or not listen to my advice, I can fire them. And that's a really great feeling to, pick and choose kind of who you work with. And, I do a lot of attraction marketing. So I attract people who want to work with me, you know, who are my avatar, people that well, I'll get along with and I'll be good for them too.
That's very good that you know what you want, and I really admire your, standing in your power and saying this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do for myself. That is very important. Um, would you mind sharing? And it's okay if you don't want to, but was there ever a very difficult, stressful time in your life, and how did you overcome that stress?
Oh gosh, yes. Well, this isn't real estate related, but it was my second marriage. Right? My second husband was emotionally and financially abusive. Had some mental uh, problems of his own, I think. And that was really tough to live with. And when I saw that it began to affect my daughters, we left. And that's about the time I started being a realtor. Hi, boo boo. And even though you know that abuse is not about you, it still affects you. So I had that, and then starting a new career that is outside of my comfort zone for sure. I'm a big introvert, and being a realtor is all about talking to strangers, right? And not knowing what to say for your first year, it's like you don't know what to say when you're on a listing appointment or when you're talking to a buyer until you do it a few times and you learn about it. But our divorce took like 4 years, and just he tortured me all the way through. So there was one day when three bad things happened, like a big flush on the financial toilet. So I just put aside all the things I was doing, and this is who I am. I got out my Bible and I read Joyce Meyer and Joel Osteen and whatever else I could get my hands on. Read all those books and spent time in prayer. And I did like sticky notes with Bible passages or different affirmations that spoke to me all over my house. I spent about 2 weeks going deep on changing my paradigm and my mindset. And I changed from being a victim to not being a victim. And that made all the difference in the world. And I felt just all this weight lifting off of me. And that's like the story that I have on changing that stress around, because life was just terrible. I was self-medicating a little bit with some alcohol and just in a dark place. It was just not good. So spending that time just totally on healing, and it turned things around. So that's kind of a short story, but that's what it was. That's what it took, just dedicating just time to fixing what's between my ears.
Wow, I love that story. That's very empowering to know that you can be in such a dark place and you really, pulled yourself up. I hear a lot of stories from other people that somebody else helped them in those times. Do you have a person that whatever you feeling stressed, do you go to them or you just kind of do whatever you just said you do?
I tend to go in more and rely on my kind of spiritual, my talks with God and my prayer time, my meditation time. I focus on the problem or focus on everything but the problem to clear my mind a little bit. And yeah, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, eating good food, taking care of your body. That's kind of what I do. I don't really have a single person anymore. I've had friends at different times that I would call on, but people grow apart, and that's kind of what's happening to me. I'm kind of in this growth phase. I've been working on with coaches and working on my professional and personal development, and people come and go in your life, right? So I'm coming into my next phase and my next crowd of people. So maybe I'll get a bestie soon.
I heard that they say if you always stuck with the same people, first you probably learn nothing, but
Yeah.
also it shows that you're not really good with change and you're continuously learning nothing. So now when people come and leave your life, it looks like it's sad and we feel like okay, or yay, it's good. But I think the more people we come and leave and the more we change, it just shows that we're evolving and we're really
Yeah.
living, because it can be very stressful to change, but it brings so much value of really experiencing what the life is about, even if it just can be stressful sometimes.
This is true. And I'm not going to be so conceited to say that I'm the only one that's growing. They're growing too, and their lives are also changing. So it's all it's all on everybody. It's not just me. But I've also heard to show me the five people you hang around with, and that's what your future is going to be like. Or, strive to be the poorest or the dumbest person in the room, because then you're going to learn from everyone else, right? So you just keep increasing the quality of the people that you hang out with if you're looking to grow into something specific, right?
Very true. Very true. Now I need to start making a list in my mind and thinking, who do I need to stop hanging out with?
Well, it's like eating. Just add more vegetables and then the bad stuff will go away, right? Eventually.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's true. It's like you can build new ha habits. It's not about what they say. It's about not what you not eating, but about what you're eating.
Yeah.
I like that.
So just
Um,
start talking to new people.
so I want to ask you, when I introduced you, I mentioned that you doing a lot of with veterans. How is that happen?
Well, my work with veterans kind of started when I was at another brokerage and we had a referral thing called Cardis. That was a USAA referral program where they would send us buyers and sellers and we would work with them and then they would take a part of our commission. Well, from that, I just started developing relationships with these veterans. You take good care of them and they take good care of you. They refer you, they become friends. My veteran clients are the ones that I still talk to and look forward to talking with, all the time. It's not just I need to call this person quarterly. It's like I call them all the time and confer with them about different things. From there, um, I go to Stretch Lab and uh, the girl who stretches me, her husband worked at the McFerrin Center at Texas A&M, and she goes, I was talking about veterans and how I was getting wanting to work more with them. And she said, you need to talk to my husband because he works with this entrepreneur boot camp for veterans program. And I had been getting emails from them as well. So I decided to open the email and read it actually. They were asking me to be a mentor. So different professionals in the area, they'll have them come in and be mentors during the boot camp, which is like 10 days, twice a year. So there are two cohorts. They're about 25 entrepreneurs there each time. So we go in the evening and talk with them and have dinner and, just share whatever we can to help their businesses. And being in those rooms, entrepreneurs vibrate at a different frequency from everyone else, like 10, W2 people. And being in that room with these people who are so community minded and entrepreneurs as well, I just felt like electrified and turned on like they turned on the light switch, right? So I feel like these are my people and I'm not a veteran myself. I do have a lot of veterans in my family. Um, so I hope they let me in. But by being in these cohorts, then I started a podcast and some veteran clients of mine helped me with the 4 pillars and they helped me name it. He actually named it but we have the pillars of housing, benefits, work/entrepreneurship, and then mental health. And so I interview the people from the boot camp and they talk about their businesses and their experience in transitioning out of the military. And then from there, I've met people and I work a lot with a lender who does mostly all veteran business and she invites me to different things. And so just the two of us are getting into all kind of stuff veteran related. We've joined VA Rep and we do a podcast episode every 2 weeks and we'll go to veteran owned businesses in the community. We're getting invited to veteran events on campus and around town. So it's just kind of growing, you open one door and then all these other doors come open and you start recognizing these opportunities. And this is just kind of rising to the top as this is my niche and these are my people. And I love serving them and working with them. They're just the best. So it's just kind of happened in that way.
Meant to be. It was just meant to be.
Yeah. And it's just so exciting. I don't know. I don't know why it makes me smile so much, but I look forward to everything I am doing. And we were talking before we turned on the record about how we're going to be holding a claims clinic. And it's going to be just a huge thing that the VSO in our area is helping. And she's going to lend her the county assets and we're going to be able to go into this facility and not have to pay for it. And we're just going to be able to help people filing their claims. And then people like you and other people who've been on the podcast and that I've met who can help the veterans are going to come and have booths there. And I just envision it being a really great thing and having this just fabulous energy in the room. And I can just feel it, so excited.
I am excited for that event too. And for those who are listening in right now, I definitely will be sharing all the information on my social media so you can participate somehow. And that kind of, now as soon as I'm saying this, I realized Well, what if somebody's listening in some different state and definitely they cannot, it's like, well, I cannot go to Texas, whatever. But the question I have is, um, w- since you work a lot with veterans, and I have that question myself, of course, I'm a stress management coach. I try to help everyone, but how is somebody who's listening to us right now, how they can help veterans? Do you have any tips?
Um, when I started the podcast and started talking to the veterans, I thought my preconceived notion was that PTSD was like the thing and that they were all, not all, but that was a major problem that they had coming out. And I know that suicide is a big deal. There's a high number of suicides every day. It used to be 22, but it's more than that now, every day. And that's just veterans. There are active duty people also committing suicide, which is just terrible and traumatic. Train of thought. Tell me the question again. I'm sorry. I've totally lost my
Now,
train of thought.
if someone wants to help
Oh,
veterans,
if someone wants to help. Okay, so the sense of community is something that they miss. And if someone needs help, if they are having suicidal or homicidal thoughts, or if they're just in a dark place, reach out and say, hey, how are you doing? And, let's go get a coffee, or let's go do something. Let's go to the shooting range. Let's go, just go do something. Just be a friend. Just say hi. And, you know, we're preconditioned to say no when someone asks us if we need something or want something, we're going to say no. But if we just say, hey, come and do this with me, or, how are you doing? Things like that. Just reframe your question and be a friend to someone. You never know what they're kind of going through. Like Robin Williams always said, the people who appear to be the happiest are the ones who are most depressed, because they know how it feels to be so sad and dark, right? They're trying to make sure other people don't feel that way. So they cover up how they're truly feeling. And I think a lot of times those feelings are really exacerbated when there's a little alcohol going on, something like that. So we just want to be sure to reach out and be a friend to them. Just check on them, be a buddy.
well, listening to you, and I think pretty much that's how overall we humans need to help other humans. You know, everybody's ev everyone wants to be happy and loved and seen and fed and safe at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And definitely veterans are more vulnerable when they come back through through such a change and so many experiences in our life. And you know I think definitely we should not look at someone who's coming through so much change of like, oh, I better not bother them, because
Yeah.
I think me personally, when it has to do with a lot of people like that who come from such a tremendous experiences, I always look at them as somebody is so much higher than me because they are so strong, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, who am I even to compare myself to it? So, and then in my eyes, they're like such an authority that they definitely can take care of themselves, because you see they're very strong physically or mentally and all of that. Where I think I just, when I'm listening to you now, I realize like, no, wait a minute, like I need to spend time and look from where they're coming from, and just approach everyone really on the street, or and no matter where we are, understanding that we all people, we all want the same thing. And especially for those who come from experiences like that, then we need to spend more extra time, and don't think like, well, because they appear so strong mentally, they don't need any help. They need extra care. And like you mentioned, it's like it's very difficult to know how somebody's need help or not. But overall, we all need help. We all need to have a human connection. Loneliness is such a thing. I think it's really it's pandemic all around the world, being lonely, because you can be
Yeah.
sitting in the same room with someone and feel completely lonely because you don't feel connected to other people. So
Yeah.
I truly admire you, what you do, because you open up that space for everyone to feel wanted and appreciated and
Yeah.
seen, and not feeling alone. And when I was when I figured out that I was an adult child alcoholic, and my dad, because of my dad alcoholic, I realized why I act that way, and why I'm, stressing out so much, and why anxiety is like a normal occurrence for me. And it is, in a way, that's also PTSD. But I think everyone has
Mm.
their own traumas from the childhood, but then when they put in extreme uh environments, that they just can really trigger even more. And when I find out what it was happening with me, I felt very lonely, because I thought, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like I'm afraid to talk with anyone, because they will think that something's wrong with me, and I felt excluded. So understanding that there's always those who are listening in right now, and you think, oh, I'm lonely, nobody will understand me, there's always some other person out there they can help and relate to you. All we need to do is just have enough courage to reach out, inside or out, or we see other people and we should just reach out and say, hey, how you doing? Just be friendly, just have a connection to them. And it doesn't really take that much. It's just a little bit open
Yeah.
mouth and just smile a little bit, just be human.
Just a phone call. How you doing? So the second part of my train of thought that I was on there, I was thinking it was these things, but the thing that is most commonly mentioned from the people that I've talked to, they miss the camaraderie. So exactly what you're saying. They're feeling lonely, and the people that are in their civilian lives don't understand what they've been through. So they feel even more isolated. So yeah, especially if you're a veteran, reach out to another veteran. But I think anyone, just say, how are you doing? Hi, give someone a hug. I'm a big hugger. I know not everyone appreciates that as much, but you know,
And it's very important also to I talk a lot about when we talk about addiction, for example, is definitely that is someone that's been in pain so much that they cannot handle themselves, so they fall into addiction, some sort of and there is so much of support, government support and whatever support that is for those who are already in that horrible place. But I always say, but what about people who are not there yet? Those people who are, or thank God they're not there yet,
yeah,
or they never would be there, because they are handling still there. And those are the people who they look like, hey, they got their life together, they have a smile on the face, they're not into alcohol or drugs, they're not addicts, they're very functioning, they have families, they have businesses. But deep down could be this place when they're stretching, like to the point that they will break. And it's very important to catch everyone before that happens. So it's like a maintenance. It's like, just because a person around you looks like they're doing great, it doesn't mean that's really great, because in our society, showing your feelings or showing how you're doing, and being true and authentic to yourself is really not that welcome. There's a lot of that fakeness going on, of like, oh yeah, I'm doing great, but then no, we're really not, because of I think it's also comes from the environment where we grow up, of showing like, hey, everything is fine. And we have this loyalty to the idea of, no, I should act like everything is okay. And then it's too late, because we already didn't take care of ourselves, or we were afraid to reach out for help.
yeah, yeah. I think being afraid to reach out, and sometimes it's a pride thing, or it's a family kind of idea that it's a weakness, or it's just not a good thing, or they don't trust shrinks, or that it doesn't have to be a psychiatrist, it doesn't have to be a psychologist, to have just someone who cares, someone. I know a guy, Jeff Shalansky, he has Fob Razor in Willis, Texas. He is just an amazing human being. I love him so much. um he was very close to suicide himself, and something stopped him. And so now he has this fob razor. It's named after a comrade of his who ended up committing suicide, sadly, or losing his life. And so he's honoring his friend, and it's this huge support group. It's this country place. They get together. There's no alcohol involved. They just support each other. They have a good time together. They do things together. If somebody's in a bad place in the middle of the night, they call him up. He'll drive and go and get them. he's just an amazing human being. Now, he's a veteran, so he knows their speak, and they kind of fit together better. I think sometimes um, they're kind of close knit, and like they say, we don't understand what they've been through. So even though I've had veterans in my family, they don't talk about their experiences in the war with me, right? Because I wasn't there, and so it's hard for someone being on the outside, but we can still try.
Yes, that's very true. Just um, creating the safe space for everyone to approach or be approached. And also, it starts with having enough courage to acknowledge that we need to spend time also and take care of our own mental state. Of I also like the saying that if you don't feel good and go and help someone. That's why the volunteering is
Yeah.
just or helping someone else helps you to feel like you really want it and need it. I think there's a lot of people go into this depression because they have nothing to look forward to. It looks like no matter what they do is not good enough, and especially if they start comparing themselves to other people through all our social media these days, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just never enough. And especially I think that can trigger a lot of childhood traumas that someone can grow up in a dysfunctional family where they not being appreciated of who they are. So it's just that they're going and helping anyone else that helps. There's immediately two people in that are winners either way you look at it.
Yeah, that's is so the truth. I do a lot of volunteer work for several different agencies, and it's true. You get done with doing a fundraiser or volunteering in some space with people, and you just come home feeling so great, so amazing. It's like all these endorphins come out, and you feel really good for helping someone else.
So since we're talking about feeling good, I'm a believer that we need to reward ourselves for the things that we do, especially when we're entrepreneurs and we're so busy with all of the things that we do. And do you reward yourself?
Sometimes I think I probably could improve it on that. I just keep going to the next one. And so I'm not very good at it, but my fingernails are way overdue. These are the first fingernails I've had in probably 15 years. And I put them on for a trip, and now they're outgrown. So I got to go update them. There was something. Oh, somebody gave me a gift certificate for massages, and I set that aside. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go. And I totally forgot about them, and now they're sitting there waiting for me. So I need to pull those back out again. But no, I just keep setting goals and keep going after them. So teach us about rewarding yourself.
Yeah, I say we need to put ourselves in the schedule as well. So, like, hey, I need to go do my nails. Hey, I need to go to have a massage or something else, especially when it is possible to do. And not feeling guilty. That's very important. Do you have guilty pleasures? Which I think guilty pleasures is a wrong thing to say. It is not guilty pleasures. Is there something that you love doing every day that helps you to be grounded and stressless?
I don't do it absolutely every day, but I think meditation and visualization really help me, like, slow my heartbeat down. They help me to like center myself and kind of clear my mind a little bit. And then that's the meditation part. And then the visualizing part is kind of envisioning and feeling what my success is going to look like. How am I going to feel when I'm waking up in the place, in the house that I want to build, that I have in my mind? What's my perfect day going to be like? I go through that perfect day and how every part of it feels. Um, so that's kind of a nice start to the day too, acting as if it's already happened, rather than feeling like I'm never going to get there. So those are the things I do pretty much, probably 3 or 4 times a week.
And how do you get sometime do you procrastinate and how do you deal with that?
That's why I read that book, Smart but Scattered. And I'm still kind of I read through it. I need to go back through and make my outline of what I'm going to do to address my weaknesses. Um, it helps me to plan my next day before I go to bed. I write down what my priorities are. These are my things I really want to get done. And then I have another list of if I get those things done, then I'll do these things too. But yeah, planning ahead work really helps with that. And like we said before, I'll put stuff off because I think it's going to take a long time if it's something I'm not really sure I know how to do. But just blocking some time and eliminating all the distractions and just doing it.
So, someone who is listening in right now and they are entrepreneur and they, so busy and so stressed out, so burnout. Uh, there's anything that you can add that you have not mentioned yet that someone can start doing it to help they stress?
I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs who have this great idea or they have this product or this service and they're great at doing that thing, but nobody teaches us how to run the business and how to manage the money. So take classes or read books or find a mentor for running the business and kind of dealing with that money. I've made the mistake before of I do a lot with social media marketing, right? So there's a marketing bill all the time and paying for pictures and videos and editing and ad space and all that kind of stuff. And then when the interest rates went up and the everybody kind of slowed down business wise, I kept spending because my coach kept saying it's going to come back, it'll be fine, keep going. And then I ran out of money, and that was a kind of a panic and a really bad feeling. So now I'm much more cautious. I make sure I have those reserves. I kind of watch what the market's doing, and I'm not so like wow on spending. I do believe in putting money back into my business, and I'm trying to grow, so I'm putting more back in than I normally would. Um, but being sure to protect those reserves.
So, for those who are listening in now and they are about to, or they planning to buy their first home, they have no idea about how to get, how to even deal with this. It could be very stressful about, getting that responsibility or approaching for a loan or whatever. What would be, can you say a few tips and tricks, for somebody who a first time buyer that they can lower their stress?
Absolutely. First thing to do, find a lender that you trust, right? You can interview some realtors and they can recommend some lenders to you. Talk to a couple, find one you click with. They can help you review your credit and fix things. You don't want to fix your credit all by yourself. You pull up your report. You don't want to pay off a bunch of accounts and then close them because that could be a detriment to your account. They're going to know all the ins and outs of how to remedy any credit problems or improve your credit so you get the best interest rate by having the higher credit score. So getting advice on that is the very first thing. You want to clean up your credit and you want to be sure you have the money that you need to uh, put down and have cover your closing costs and moving. Um, I'm going to send you a link to my buyer book so everyone can have my whole buyer book for free. It'll be an online book, but that'll kind of go through the steps. First, you clean up your credit. Then you talk to a lender and you get pre-approved for a budget amount. That amount will tell us what kind of house price we need to shop for. You don't want to go shopping before you get approved because say you fall in love with a $300,000 house, but you can only afford a $225,000 house. No $225,000 house is going to look as good as that $300,000 house that you fell in love with. So it's better to get pre-approved before you go out and start looking. That way you don't get that kind of disappointment. It's that's the best advice. Get pre-approved before you go start shopping.
Oh, I love that because we have a tendency of attaching to things in general in life. Like we want that and we get attached to it. So I love your approach. First of all, know the size of a shoe before you start buying it.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you get approved for 225,000, that does not mean you have to spend 225,000 on a house. You don't want to be house poor, right? You want to have enough money to eat, to buy furniture to put in your house. You want to have money to have air conditioning and heat. So you have to be careful about the budget because interest, uh, your principal and interest is going to stay pretty much the same, right? But the taxes and the insurance is probably going to go up each year by a little bit. So your payment will be one thing when you buy, and then every year it's going to go probably up just a little bit. I think in all my years of home owning, it's the escrow payment has gone down maybe once. So every year it goes up just a little bit. So be conservative when you're buying and protect your finances in that way.
That totally makes sense because it's we all love when we have a property that, oh, the value goes up. Like
Hmm.
we all cheerful that value is going up, but then with that goes everything else up. So we need to
Right.
be very
Right.
cautious about that. Yeah,
Yeah. And
that's
remember when you're buying your first house, that's not going to be your end house, right? It's not like the dream house. It's your first house. It's what's getting you into the game. You buy this, you make your payments, so you're building equity in that way, and the house's value is appreciating, so you're building equity two ways. And then once you save up a little bit for making a move and putting a down payment down, you can sell that house and then trade up for the next bigger one. That's how people do. You keep trading up to the next one. And, sometimes if things are great and you get a promotion or a new job or something like that, you can keep the old house and use it as a rental property and then buy the next one. So lots of ways to build wealth. And how real estate's a great way to build wealth. He usually
totally.
appreciates.
Well, now I start thinking about I need to buy a house.
I can help you.
I love it. Well, I think we had a good conversation about a bunch of stuff. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you would like to share that you thought you wanted to say and then maybe I cut you off somewhere in the middle?
No, I think the just taking care of yourself. And the older I get, the more I realize that having a certain number of hours of sleep a day is super important to us. Staying hydrated is super important to us because it can get foggy or people get more confused and foggier when they're dehydrated. And it's just not a good way to be. And movement, exercise, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You hear that everywhere, but it's really true. You have to take care of yourself first. So that's the thing. It's the effort I'm always trying to do, but I'm not always perfect at
And
it.
I want to thank you so much for sharing your book, which definitely will put it in the
Yeah.
description below so everyone can go and grab that. And so please tell me if someone wants to reach out to you and hire you and find a new home, how they can reach you.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you my number. You can put that in the description as well. It's 979-492-0101. And if you look up Sell with Sherri, that's my website, and you'll find me anyway. Everything is Sell with Sherri. Moving to College Station, Texas is my YouTube account. I've got a lot of videos on there, and that's where my podcast is. If you're a veteran, it's called Operation Successful Transition. Um, yeah, just Google me, you'll find me. I spend a lot of time on my digital footprint.
And what I also I know that if someone who's listening in right now, they really they like to what you had to say, but they're like, well, but I really don't live in that area. That's okay because you know a lot of other people and have lots of connections. It could be no matter what state it is and no matter where it is, you'll be
This
able to help them.
Yeah, I've been working with a coach for about 5 years, just a little over 5 years. And so all the people in that program, I know how they work and I know what kind of people they are because she attracts the people who are like me that really care about their clients and their business and their full-time professionals. And then EXP is a worldwide agency and I can connect you with agents anywhere. So instead of you just taking a stab in the dark at an agent in some strange place that you're moving to, call me and I can suss out some really great agents. I'll give you two or three to interview, and I'll even give you the questions to use when you're interviewing them, and you can pick the one that answers it best for you.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here in the late hour. And I learned a lot, and you gave me great ideas, and I will be posting in the description below for all of those links and all that people can reach out and get your your free book, which by the way I saw. Guys, you need to get this because it's like you can click on the button, it looks like an actual book, like flips. Oh, I loved it. So it's really worth getting it. And please refer those who you hear that they're looking for a house, refer it to Sherri. She's amazing, and you already can tell after almost an hour talking that she has a heart, and she will take care of you and those that you will refer it to. Thank you so much, Sherri, for this event.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And it's always good to see your face.